Attempt number 2. The last one was irritating me because I had gyroscoping on. Since the boat was moving, it was like gliding all around. It was super weird. So hopefully this is better. So yeah, it is January 12th. It is my 9th day of sitting on the boat in Nassau. Another front is rolling through right now, so I've got probably 25 gusting to 35 or more out of the east, which is totally awesome. So killing time, and in that process of killing time, I asked a whole bunch of questions, or asked people to ask me a whole bunch of questions. I figured I'd answer them all in like a couple videos because I got a lot more questions than I thought I would. I think I've got like 45 or something, 47, which is pretty cool. So I've got them all on a notepad. So I'm only gonna do like a third of them right now, I think. Maybe, I don't know. But they're organized kind of like past, present, future questions. So like what would I have done differently versus what the hell am I doing right now versus what do you plan on doing, etc., etc. So also there's a spider and I chased it and went behind this cabinet. So if you see something crawl across my chest or crawl into my ear, just let me know. I don't know how they get on the freaking boat. Been an anchor. The boat's been an anchor for like a month, and there's still spiders crawling around. This one was big too. Whatever. I'll survive. So, yeah. Stop killing time. Get started. Fine. So, first question is, when did I leave? I left September 3rd, 2021. So that was official day. I cast the lines and went off on my own, more or less. I had some friends come along with the first leg. It was just bad boys it to Cuttyhunk. I don't know, 20 miles or so. So it was just a shakedown, get everyone on board, you know, little send-off party of all the people who had boats. My parents sailed to the island, and then a couple of my friends' families also sailed over there. So yeah, it was nice. That was nice. So that's when she started. We are on, hold on, I have a book here that I keep track of every day of the trip. I don't know if you can see it, whatever. I'm on like page something or other, 7, 8, 9, page 9. I'm on day 114 since I left. So, and that's not including vacations home. The vacation home. So, yeah. What would I have prepared differently on the boat? Well, I would have done some more work to the interior, I think. Overall, what I would have prepared differently, what I would have given myself more time. I gave myself around 5 to 6 months for a 9-month trip. So it was really kind of crunch time coming down to the end. There's some systems I left with that didn't work, which should. All of my mast lighting doesn't work, so my steaming and anchor light don't work, which is not great. I also installed a foredeck light, which doesn't work. So I don't know what's going on with that, but that's a bummer. My radio does work though, up there. I didn't have my electric bilge pump installed, and just, you know, things like that. But I'm here now, 114 days later, so I guess I wouldn't have done too much differently. But I guess that's all because it worked out. How far offshore have I been? The furthest offshore I've been, like single point, was between Montauk and Atlantic City. It was that long 70 hours at sea or whatever, 50 something hours at sea, 70 hours without touching land. I was like 73 miles offshore or something like that. Probably not exactly correct. But that's well and truly, you're out of sight of everyone and everything. And it's just big tanker ships you have to keep an eye out for. I've been out of sight of land probably 5 or 6 times, you know, 20 miles or more offshore. The horizon's only 12 miles, and then that dips below the horizon, but you still get the cell towers and light pollution and stuff. So, yeah. Do I read? Yes, I do read. I've got a whole crate of books that I poke through here. So, all these are books about a bajillion. It weighs a lot. So there's just some kicking around on top here that I got for Christmas. But I have read a good chunk of these so far. Here, I'll pop these off the top. See, it's just packed. So I've read half of these ones in the book, in the crate, and then I've got some more up in the V-berth I'm twiddling through, and then these ones on top I got for Christmas and I've started. So yeah, I do read books. And then there's another question that was, what was my favorite book? And I think I liked it so much that I insisted somebody else read it, so I gave it to them. But it's a book by the name of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It was just very, very thought-provoking and interesting, and by far the hardest book I've ever read until I left for the trip. So it was really good. It was really good. It has, one sec, it changed kind of my outlook on a lot of things, which was cool. My like thought process, which is what a book should do, I suppose, right? So, and then do I fish? Yes. Do I catch? Not often. I have a big trolling rod up on the bulkhead over there. I can show you. Pardon the mess. Big rod tied up to the bulkhead, and then I keep all my lures and stuff on top, and there's a tackle box underneath. So it's 75-pound test, I think, or maybe 50-pound test line. Not for catching tuna, but I can't eat a tuna. That's part of the reason why I don't fish too often. It's because if I catch a fish that's bigger than I can eat, I just have to throw it back. Because I don't have refrigeration, and it's just meat. So I can only eat so much fish in a single night. That if it's just too big, there's just no need to waste all that food. So toss her back. But I have caught 4 bluefish and a barracuda. I also have a Hawaiian pole spear, I think. It's Hawaiian or Bohemian, I don't remember, spear. But 3 prongs, and I go diving with it. I've only caught a lobster with that. But yeah, very exciting, very exciting. Do I take photos? Yes, I take photos. Whenever I go somewhere neat and everything's settled down, the sailing always comes first to photography. Probably why these videos are so sparse. But even when I'm doing nothing, I guess I don't take videos very often. But yeah, I've got a whole collection of pictures. I might do a Google photo album or something at the end of the trip, and I can share it with whoever wants to poke through the pictures. So yeah, if I end up writing a book too, I guess it'll include a bunch of pictures, because it'll be based off of my ship's log, which I have a printer that I can put pictures in, which is pretty cool. You can only see a couple of them, but yeah. Printer's broken though recently, so I haven't added pictures in there, but I leave space for them. So, when did I miss my mom the most? Good question. She's gonna like this one. Honestly, probably early on the trip. My mom and my girlfriend came down to visit me in Wildwood, New Jersey, in Wildwood, and that was like 2 weeks into the trip, and then I hadn't really seen her since. Well, she came to Charleston, actually, so usually it's right after someone leaves that you kind of miss them the most, and that's how a lot of the solo sailing has been, more or less. Like, you can think on it and dwell on it, and it can suck, or you can just be sad and then try and get over it. So yeah, I mean, I've been stuck here for 9 days after seeing all my friends and family for a couple weeks back at home over Christmas break. So I've just had a lot of time to think about it, and hopefully once I start getting moving, it'll all come to pass. So love you, Mom. My favorite part of the trip so far? Well, that's a hard question to answer. I've got some least favorite parts of the trip. I mean, my favorite part of the trip is when I'm doing long offshore legs and they don't suck. Yeah, whenever the weather's nice, not beating into seas or, wind, wildlife all around. I had a leg off of Georgetown which was also the slowest leg I've ever done, but it was just absolutely stunningly beautiful. Fish all around me and dolphins and all that kind of fun stuff. So anytime I'm offshore and it doesn't suck is my favorite part. So, and then the worst sailing so far is whenever I'm offshore and it does suck. So that would be like the leg to Atlantic City, the 3 nights of suck, because there was a big storm offshore that I thought I would beat by not going to Atlantic City, but that's an old tale at this point. Worst sailing is just anytime you're really going dead upwind. There was a leg from St. Michael's in the Chesapeake Bay, and it's a river valley, so it's a winding channel, like a meandering river that got flooded over. So you have to go up this river, and the wind was coming dead down the sound into St. Michael's. So I was just tacking my way across and up this river, and I was just getting soaked, and it was only like 40 minutes, but it was like the longest 40 minutes of the trip. It was just absolutely awful. Like no good. So yeah, there's also the worst sailing is when I'm not sailing, is when I'm motoring. The whole good chunk of the ICW. I had some good sailing, a couple days, but good chunk of the ICW is just a bucket of suck. Especially in Florida. I went through 160 drawbridges or something in Florida, and that was awful. So yeah, interesting people I've met. All of the cruisers out here, for the most part, except for like the geriatrics on their big catamarans, no offense to them, but all the cruisers out here have interesting stories about how they got out here, how life kicked them in the ass and they wanted to go sailing. So I met a couple on the ICW in Georgia, south of St. Catherine's Island. I sailed with them for a full 8-hour day, and we were chatting on the radio and stuff. And they were on an O'Day 28, which isn't a very exciting boat, except for the fact that they were like 93 years old, like 87 and 93 or whatever. The woman claimed she was 21, which I believe. But yeah, they were super funny. Very Italian. They made spaghetti and like meat sauce with sausage and meatballs and stuff in it, which was really, really good. And the guy, like, he wasn't necessarily bragging about like the Italian mob, but he was definitely like proud of the Italian mob, which was hilarious to listen to. And he like smoked a lot of weed. He like offered me like a joint and like hard liquor and stuff, and it was just so funny. So yeah, and then obviously my cruising buddies, all the way down from St. Simon's Island all the way down to where was it? Fort Pierce, Florida. So Damon MJ on Mirage, the Cape Worry 28. We were just so dead even on boat speed and, mind, like how we thought. It was an awesome little crew that we ended up getting together. We did some racing down the ICW, which was a ton of fun, some offshore racing. So yeah, it was just they're awesome. Damon is some sort of genius, was working at an engineering firm and moving his way high up in the company, and was just like, screw this, like, this doesn't mean anything. I'm sitting in traffic in an old manual Jeep. And he moved from LA, bought a boat. Where did he buy the boat? I don't remember exactly. I think it was in Charleston. And him and his girlfriend moved onto the boat, and I met them pretty early on in their trip. I was like their first cruising buddy. And he was super smart and just cool guys to hang out with. He's doing a podcast and a blog and stuff right now. Yeah, lots of interesting people everywhere. All have cool stories. So, yeah. Most interesting thing I've seen. I gotta say, one of the most interesting for sure is the entrance to Hatchet Bay Harbor. You go through and it's like 70 feet wide, which sounds like a lot on a 27-foot boat, but it's not. It's only 25 feet or 30 whatever feet on either side of your boat, and then on each side is a sheer cliff that goes up probably 30 feet, so almost as high as my mast. and you just go through there, and the currents were ripping you through, and the waves are sloshing all around in the entrance, and it was just super cool. I think I actually took a video of me going into that harbor, which was neat. And the inside was beautiful and well protected. If the town was a little underwhelming, but you know, all the Bohemian Islands have been very different. The Grand Bahama Bank was super cool, but I've got a lot more cool things to see. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the cities and stuff are gorgeous. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. All the Chesapeake was cool. Delaware Bay was cool. So yeah, lighthouses, etc. Oh, going inside the Georgetown light that was abandoned, that was pretty sick. Exploring the Wiki House and all that stuff was pretty neat. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. I mean, I've seen so much. So yeah. What sea life have I seen? Birds, lots of seabirds, seagulls, pelicans, I don't know, everything. I've seen alligators in Georgetown. Right next to the high school sailing team, as they were sailing in the harbor, there was an alligator, which I don't know if I'd do that personally, but that was cool. Lots of dolphins for a good chunk of the trip. Dolphins were more common than birds through Albemarle Sound, pretty much from the Carolinas to Florida. There were dolphins everywhere. I actually have only seen a couple in the Bahamas, so that sucks. I've seen some sharks. There's sharks mostly. Jellyfish, octopus. I saw an octopus, that was cool. So I'm around, started changing colors and like going along the rocks, and he went under some stairs that I was tied up to in Governor's Harbor on Eleuthera. Lots of cool stuff. I caught a barracuda, so that was neat. Pulling the hook out of his mouth was not fun. He got big gnarly teeth. So yeah, lots of wildlife. I don't know, so much. Dolphins are obviously the coolest because they're dolphins. So I have only seen the puff of a whale. I haven't actually like seen one. He hasn't come. He didn't like, you know, Essex me and ram me. But yeah, yep. What happened to the raccoon? This is a double-edged sword here. If I answer honestly, people get mad at me. Well, honestly, I took the spinnaker pole and hid behind the mast, and with the help of another cruiser who I met on Water Bear, we took the spinnaker pole and I pushed him over to the corner, pushed him overboard. I was on anchor, and clearly he swam out to the boat, so he probably swam back to shore. It was a king tide, and there was a 3-day storm that it flooded everything, flooded parking lots, flooded hotels, all that fun stuff. So I guess I was just a little safe haven. I have no idea how he got on board. I don't know what the hell happened, but he swam off and he looked good, and that's the end of the story. My girlfriend got me a stuffed raccoon to commemorate him. So all is not lost. He's still in my heart. Still in my heart. So. How many places have I been to? I counted up last night. I think it was 52 different stops, you know, so anchorages. Places I've been to is uncountable because every millisecond I'm in a different place, but different anchorages, and I didn't count cities or anything, but 52 anchorages, so places I've stopped and gone ashore and explored, and a lot more to come. So, yeah. Have I gotten dysentery? No. What would I have done differently so far on this trip? I would kind of wish I'd learned earlier to pick my weather windows better. Would have saved me some headache and some suffering and some sadness. And follow the charts, but don't always follow the charts. Look at the sky, but don't trust it. There's a lot of like, you know, gotta just get the feel of it. I don't know, maybe I kind of, when my dad came down to the Bahamas, I kind of wish we had had a little more time to really explore, because we traveled every single day. But yeah, I would have brought someone along, ideally. Being alone sucks, but it's go or don't go, so I figured I'd go. Most surprising challenge. So this was from my grandfather, and he said not necessarily the most challenging, but the one that surprised me the most. I don't know. There have been a lot of challenges that have surprised me on how I handle them. So like lack of sleep and crappy food and being alone. Like I feel like I've done a pretty good job with, more than I thought. Most surprising challenge is probably getting water. And gas prices actually is probably the most surprising challenge, is getting gas, because I only have jerry cans. So, in the Bahamas it's $7 a gallon for gas. And it's usually a long way from the anchorage, so it's just you grab two 5 gallons, and you walk your way a couple miles and fill them up with 50 pounds of gas. Costs you $70, and then you walk your way back with the jugs. So that's no fun. Water's a pain too. I only have one 5-gallon jug, but it's 30 gallons up in the front. So 6 trips to whatever spigot you can find. Yeah, I don't know. Keeping myself busy has not been too hard. So rust has been a challenge. Rust everywhere. Everything corrodes and destroys itself. So I don't know. I might have to think on that one a little more. But that's probably the easy answer. So, and then I left the kind of the big one for last. I haven't put this in a video yet. But the scariest moment of the trip. So far, it was on the leg from Current Cut on Eleuthera, north, and then sailing down west back to Nassau before flying home for Christmas. And there was big choppy seas rolling from behind me. I was on a run the whole way. And the dinghy had filled with water, and I needed to grab the anchor out of it. So I pulled it up behind me while we were underway. And essentially, as I was reaching down to bail it out or flip it or whatever, grab the anchor to, basically I hit a wave, I slipped, and I went overboard into the ocean off of Eleuthera. And the boat was still sailing, as it kind of normally would be. So yeah, the water was warm. But I was wearing my harness, luckily, and I was clipped into the backstay, so a really good, solid hard point on the backstay. But the dinghy ended up fully flipping, and I lost my oars, my anchor, and my oar locks, and my bailer. So, yeah, fully in the water off of Eleuthera, and if you get separated from your boat that far offshore, I was probably 5 miles offshore or more, you're pretty much hosed out there, so I don't know, not to be too grim, but that's probably the scariest moment, falling overboard while you're by yourself. So yeah, I climbed back up on the wind vane and had to get a breather before everything was back under control. But yeah, that was no fun at all. So, well, that's the first set of questions. I may do the next 2 sets in one video. It's 24 questions total, and I just did 23, so the next 2 will be in a single video. This one's already freaking 25 minutes long, so sorry for wasting all your time, but I guess you're only here if you really wanted to hear them, so that's on you. Storm's still cranking along, so everything's wet. But what's new on Sailing the Vessel? Why worry? So, yeah. I guess I'll see you in the other video.